Welcome, my friends. And now what we are going to do is talk about another interesting panel, which is called the timeline panel, this one right here. And this is the one that we're going to be using in order to create our animations. We're going to move in time, and this is just really cool. Now remember, right now we are just looking at the different type of objects and functions that we have. We are going to deal with animation and all these other options later on. For now, just keep in mind that we are going to be dealing with the things that we have, and just to get familiar with the options that we have in here. So first of all, we have the different objects that we are using in our composition are going to be placed in this region, and they are called layers. So this is one layer, then I have another layer, and then I have another layer. Now this layer is underneath these two. That means that the purple one is on top of everything. So that means that if I move it, you can see that I can hide things that are underneath this layer. Now the next one is my text. So the text is underneath this one, so I can move it. It's on top of the original one, but it's underneath the actual deep purple solid. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. So I'm going to move it, place it right in here, and I can take this and I can put it in here, and that's basically what is happening. Now I can take this layer, I can select it, and I can move my text 2020, and I can put it on top of this by just moving and putting it on top of the other one. Now you can see that 2020 is on top of that. I can move it like this, and now it's going to be in front, and this one, if I move it, is going to be underneath that option. And that's basically what we can do. Now obviously what I can do is I can take the master, my Photoshop file, and it takes the entire composition. So if I put it on top, I'm just gonna hide everything else, and that's something that I don't want to do right now. So I'm just gonna place it underneath, and that's what we get. All right. Now another thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take let's say this object. I'm gonna move it a little bit in here, or you know what, I'm going to show you something else. You can actually take this object, press Ctrl or Command on a Mac, and you can click on the other one, and you can move two objects at the same time, just like this. All right, so that's another trick that you'll learn now that you can start using right away. And obviously, if you want, you can select more than two by pressing on the one that you want to use at the beginning, and then let's say that you want to move the master effects, but you don't want to use the purple one. So you can press Ctrl or Command, you select those, and now you can move those two, but this one is going to stay in place because you're not moving that, you're not selecting that one. So that's another cool thing. And if you want to select them all, you can just press Ctrl A, and that's another shortcut. If you press Ctrl A, you're going to be able to select everything in your composition. So that's another way. And another thing that you can do is press on the one that you want to select, and then Shift, and then go to the last one that you want to select. In this case will be the master effects, and that one is going to select in between all of the layers that you want to select. So in this case, I am selecting the first one, and then Shift and click on the master effects. So the purple is in between, so it's going to get selected at the same time. And that's basically what is happening, and that's what I am getting. And now everything is going to be moved if I move it. All right, Control Z. Remember, another shortcut, Control A, in order to select everything. And now let's save this guy. Remember, we can press Control S and we can save it. But if we add the Shift key, we can save it as another version. So in this case, I'm going to save that as number 3. This is actually the third class. So I'm just going to say this one is about the timeline. So I'm going to go and say timeline. What's actually one word? Timeline panel. All right. So I know that we are using that, and now I'm using my shortcut Control Shift S in order to save as, and Control A in order to select everything inside this panel. One thing to keep in mind is that you can actually move, for example, let's say that in this folder you want to put all your images, so you can right click on it and you can say rename, and you can rename this and say images, for example, or footage, whatever you want to put in here. And now I can move my master After Effects and I can place it inside this image folder. And now if I click, you're organizing everything, and you get a less crowded kind of project panel. So that's really nice. Now there's a lot more in here. For example, if I want, I can hide this object, the text, I can hide the purple solid, and I can hide my master effects. So this little eye that we have in here allows us to hide things, and we can make them visible or invisible if we want to. Now remember, we have a background in here that allows to just take a reference of something on the back, but this is transparency. So obviously if you place this, if you render this and you want to see transparency on a TV, that's going to appear black, all right? Or if you try to apply that into a web player, is going to appear black, basically. But we can change all these properties. I will show you that later, but just keep that in mind. So in this case, I want to see this transparency, because if I remove this, you can see that there is transparency around, and that's what is happening. So just keep that in mind. And now let's go and place the original. Remember the other shortcut that I showed you? Control S, Alt H, and that's going to place my object right in the actual size of the composite. So that's really nice. Now the other option that we have is we have a couple of buttons in here, but you know, the one that is kind of important is the lock one, that allows me to put a lock on this. So for example, if I want to move everything, select all again, Control A, you can see that I cannot select the text object because we have a lock on it. So it doesn't matter if you try to select it, you can't, okay? It's blocked. So there's no way you're going to be able to move it. And that is really nice because sometimes you have objects that you don't want to move. So you can place the lock option, and that's going to help you with that. Obviously, we have the solo option. And when you click on this one, you get just this object visible, and I can remove the background, the transparency, and you can see that I can see only that specific object. So let's say that I want to see the deep purple. I can click and I can see now that, and obviously if I click on this one, I'm going to be able to see the three of them. Now I can click and drag and remove all those options for all of my objects at once. I can click on this one, I can put the toggle, the lock toggle on the Master Effects layer, so now I can move everything, but nothing is going to be affecting my original After Effects PSD file. All right, so that's really cool. Now we have some other options in here that we are going to talk about later, because they are a little bit more kind of specific, and we need to have some other type of objects inside After Effects in order to make them to see them really nice. So we're going to talk about these options later on. For now, just keep in mind that we have some operations where we can, you know, see well, not transparency, but it's called how we want to link our objects. Let's say that, for example, I want to take this object, which is the text object, and I want to make it, I can get this spaghetti kind of thing, and I can connect that to another object. For example, I'm going to connect this text to this purple solid. All right. So now you can see that the text is connected to deep purple solid. So that means that now, if I take my deep purple solid and I move it, you can see that now that purple solid is the father of this 2020 text, and that's hierarchy kind of thing. So now we're creating a relationship where whatever I do with this, if I move this deep purple kind of color, everything is going to be affected by that. So now if I scale this, you can see that I can scale my object, and the text is going to scale just at the same time. And we will talk about scaling and all these kind of cool features later on. For now, just keep in mind that we are talking about the panel. So I'm going to press Control Z in order to undo that. And that's a feature that you have in here, and that is going to help you a lot in the long run. So for now, I'm just going to take that. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to click on None. You can actually use this toggle option and say, you know, I want you to be a child of the deep purple solid one, or you can use this spaghetti kind of thing where you can just go and select the object that you want. In this case, I don't want to select anything. We can create 3D layers. I'm just going to talk about this one right now. You can see that I can create 3D layers. I'm just going to unlock this so I can create 3D layers. And now it looks like nothing is happening, but if I take the position of this and try to move the position of my object, let me just go back, for example, you can see that I'm sending my object back. Right now I am not moving my camera, but if I create a camera, just to show you something, I'm just going to go here to Layer, and then I'm going to go to New. You can see that I can create a camera, and I have an actual shortcut that I want you to remember, but when we talk about cameras, we will refresh that. Control Alt Shift C, so that allows me to create a camera. Right now I'm just going to say camera 1. I don't care about that one. I'm gonna go and make it active. You can see that that's my camera. And now this camera, I'm gonna move it to the top because that's what I like to do. And I'm gonna click on this little unified camera tool. You can see that we have a shortcut, which is C as camera. So that's really nice. And now with this, I can press C again, and I can toggle between the different options that I have for this camera. So right now you can see that I can move, and you can see this kind of a 3D effect that I am getting now, a really cool effect that I am creating. So this is really, really nice. And actually, another thing is that I can take my text and now move it into another dimension. I'm going to press V, and I'm going to be able to move this thing, and I can move this one back if I want to. And let me just go like that and move it a little bit in the Z axis like this. You can see that now if I press C again, I can go back to my camera, and now I have this kind of cool 3D effect that I am seeing inside my composition. Now right now we don't have any kind of lights, but if I want to, I can go to New, I can create a light. And now when we create lights, this effect looks a lot more kind of nicer. So you can see that I can put a light, and that allows me to hide and see things, and I can actually animate all of this, and this is just gonna look really amazing. So now my light, I'm gonna put it underneath the camera. That's well, we will talk about this kind of hierarchy organization and how you can specify things inside your section here. But basically that's what we have right now. Now we have no animation at all, so this region that we have in here allows us to animate things. Now let's say that we want to animate a camera movement in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here to position in this case, and I'm going to go to frame 0, and I'm going to click on this little stopwatch, which is the one that's allowing me to create a keyframe. We will talk about animation later, but for now, just let's create some kind of a little kind of movement. So now you can see that I have position for my camera like that. And you know what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to take this keyframe and I'm going to move it all the way to the end, because that's how I want this composition to end. And then I'm going to take this timeline, I'm going to place it at the beginning, and then I'm going to move just this a little bit, and let me just go from this side, for example, to the other side. And now if I click on this preview button, you can see that I have an actual animation. Something is moving. I am getting this kind of cool effect, and you can see this green line that is rendering. That means that I am going to be able to see in real time the effect that I am applying, or not the effect only, but I mean all the animation is going to play in real time, and I'm going to be able to see all of these. So you can see that we're getting a subtle kind of movement. We could be talking about something, or we could be moving some other text and explosions and things like that with audio, and everything is going to be, you know, kind of amazing. Now obviously what I can do here, if I don't want this to take that long of I want to make it a little bit shorter, I can take this and I can place it at 10 seconds, for example, and then I'm going to bring this other option, work area, and I'm going to move the work area to 10 seconds, and then I'm going to right click on here, and I'm going to trim that into that specific region. So I'm going to get rid of the rest of my composition, and then I'm going to hit play again in here in my preview. And now you can see that I'm going to get kind of a faster animation. It's moving a lot faster. Now instead of 30 seconds, it's taking only 10 seconds to accomplish the animation that I created. And that's basically what we can do in here. Now if you want to go faster, obviously we can make it happen in 3 seconds. So let me just go like that. I'm going to take again my work area. I'm going to move it, place it on the 3 seconds. And I'm going to right click. I'm going to trim that to my composition area. I'm going to rewind, place my timeline in here at the beginning. I'm going to hit play. And now you can see that the movement is going to be faster because I have less time now on this composition. And basically that's what we get. Now you know a lot about the timeline. You know how to control a lot of stuff in here. Practice and just keep watching this. If you don't get it at the first time, we will be dealing with all of this as we move on in our training. But for now, you have an idea of how you can start animating, how you can start stacking a lot of different type of layers. And you know, that's the cool thing about After Effects. I will see you in our next class. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now and take care.